Hey everyone, my name's Brenna Posey. I'm a NOCD employee. I also have OCD myself and have gone through NOCD therapy. And now I just love to talk about my experience because I hope to provide some hope for you that are struggling with OCD right now. And just know that it doesn't have to be this way forever. I help out our Instagram and TikTok pages. It's at Treat My OCD. Feel free to check them out. I host an Instagram Q&A every Wednesday on our Instagram stories. Feel free to ask any questions about OCD that you want, and I'll try to answer them through a lived experience perspective. I love getting to know our community online, so feel free to check us out, give us a follow, or just feel free to attend our Instagram Q&As every Wednesday. I'm really excited for this video because we're talking about dating with OCD. And I kind of want this to be a more candid conversation because I think dating is can be really sensitive, but it can also be a really beautiful thing. It's a part of the human experience. And, if that's something that you value, that's awesome. And it's important to recognize that you can have a healthy and beautiful relationship despite having OCD. So, a little bit about me. I have been in a very healthy relationship for around 2 years now. Like I said, I have OCD. My boyfriend does not have OCD. Um, I've learned a lot about myself, about OCD, about relationships because of this dynamic, me having OCD and him not. And honestly, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this. I was really nervous opening up to him about OCD at the beginning because I had never opened up to anyone about my OCD, anyone that I was dating before him, but I knew his character seemed amazing and he seemed to understand mental health and has had mental health struggles in the past as well. So I felt more comfortable to open up to him at first. And it was really nerve-wracking. There was a chance where he could have been like, "No, I don't want to be with someone that has OCD," or, him not understand OCD completely. I was nervous for that as well. And I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but it was a very nerve-wracking experience for me. And through that, I learned a lot about him and his character because he took it like a champ and wanted to understand OCD more and did like by now knows a lot about OCD and exposure response prevention and my story with it. So it was really cool to see how when you open up to someone who is more mature and wise, they actually want to understand what you're going through and know that if someone doesn't care or doesn't recognize your experience, that they may not be the best person for you. So, I'm going to get into kind of three major points that I've taken away from dating while having OCD throughout this video. And yeah, really excited about to talk about this. It's a huge topic, just being a human. And I'm in my late 20s, and it's dating is hard, but it's also amazing, and you learn so much about yourself. So, let's get into it. Point number one I've taken away while dating while I have OCD is being in a secure and happy and healthy relationship has been a game changer because I feel like I can tell him what's going on, the good and bad about my life and my OCD, of course, and he won't judge me. And, that doesn't mean that if you have a great person and they don't understand OCD, that it's not possible to work it out. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that he wanted and had the courage and bravery and curiosity to understand what I was going through and wanted to learn more. And because of that, I had no fear of opening up to him whenever I was struggling. Because in the past, in my other relationships, I didn't feel like I could do that. So now being in a secure relationship, I feel like I won't be judged by him with my OCD. And again, he wanted to learn more, which was awesome and just kind of made us get closer, I feel like, in our relationship because OCD is such a big part of my life and who I am. It's not all I am, but it's has been a big part, and it has shaped me into the woman I am today. So it was really refreshing to see him be like, I want to learn more. And I feel like because of that, it made me open up more and it made us get closer. So I think being in a secure, happy, and healthy relationship, it doesn't mean that it won't fail later down the road, but being in that type of relationship just puts you in a great environment to be yourself and to not have judgment. Because if you don't tell them what's going on, if you're going through an OCD episode or just struggling really bad mentally, it can and will affect your relationship, even if it doesn't feel like it or you're trying to hide it. It just, you're not yourself. And so having a safe space to open up to them about what's going on can really just help your relationship and you as a person going forward. Now, the second point is just because you're in a happy and healthy relationship doesn't mean that your OCD will go away or that you won't have any OCD flare ups. Now, I think if you value relationships, it can be a really big thing and you feel like, oh, this is my person. I'm not going to have any struggles with my mental health going forward. Like there's no way. I just like am in a good place. I love them and I'm not going to struggle. Well, that's not how it works. And it's awesome that you're in a good place and maybe they encourage you in ways that you haven't been encouraged before, but that doesn't necessarily mean that OCD will never affect you while you're in a good place with your relationship. So I had one of my biggest flare-ups of OCD while I just started dating my boyfriend. So this was 2 years ago, right whenever we started dating. And my OCD episode had nothing to do with my relationship. It was completely separate. It was a more taboo theme. And I felt hopeless. Like it got to that point where I was like, I can't even focus on my relationship. I feel like I'm not the best person I can be for him. And I felt like I needed to end it because he deserved someone that was fully present. That was my OCD telling me that looking back. And I remember opening up to him and just crying and being like, this is before I started doing exposure response prevention with an OCD. I was like, I am so defeated right now. This is what's happening. I need you to know this. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not myself. I feel like I can't be there for you because OCD is completely taking over my life right now. And his character was amazing. And he was like, because I've done research and I know what you're going through, kind of like, let's figure it out together. Let's figure out the best plan of action. And let's, ERP seemed to work well for a lot of people with OCD. And so I was like, let's do it. Let's just do ERP. And because of that push by him, like, I don't know if I would have done ERP and really gone for it completely if it wasn't for him understanding OCD and wanting the best for me. Like he pushed me to do that, which was awesome. He had no judgment for me about my OCD and intrusive thoughts because again, he's had done research about OCD and knew that I didn't want these thoughts. These were ego dystonic. They went against my values and they felt real. That's where a lot of people get stuck, is that it feels real. It feels like you want the thoughts. But he was amazing through it all. And, of course he didn't understand everything. But he understood enough to be able to sympathize with me and kind of walk through ERP and my experience with that together, which was honestly beautiful looking back. Now, the third point is there is a chance that your OCD could latch on to your relationship. And I don't want to say this, I'm not saying this to freak anyone out. I'm really not. But if you have OCD and you're in a serious relationship or just a relationship in general, whatever it looks like, there is a chance that your OCD could latch on to that relationship. OCD thrives on uncertainty and of course not having a direct answer for things that don't necessarily require an answer. OCD loves those situations because it latches itself onto that and demands an answer for everything. And guess what one of the most uncertain things in life is? It's relationships and people. The most uncertain, like you don't really know, you can't have expectations on people. It's so uncertain. And so of course, when you really think about it, OCD would thrive on relationships because it's so uncertain. But at the same time, that is why relationships are so beautiful, because they are uncertain, because you have to love someone through it all. And you don't have to, but that's what a lot of people choose to do. And it's beautiful because of that. It's beautiful because of the uncertainty. But there is a chance that OCD could latch onto that. And a lot of times I feel like relationship OCD latches on to a healthy relationship because you're so afraid to lose that relationship. And so any type of uncertainty, any type of what if that you don't necessarily have an answer to, OCD can just slide its way in and try to latch on, right? And a lot of relationship OCD intrusive thoughts can look like, what if they aren't the one? What if I cheated on them because I looked at someone and thought they were attractive, that I'm not, but I'm not dating them? Like, what if I cheated? What if we're falling out of love? And all of these questions can be normal relationship anxiety, but there comes a point where if you are obsessing about this a lot of your day and you're really struggling because of it, it causes a lot of anxiety, it could be OCD. I remember someone told me that they know their relationship is a good one and a long lasting one and could potentially turn into something more serious because their OCD latched onto it, because OCD wants that control and hyper responsibility of you so bad that it would try to do anything to not lose that relationship. So I don't know, just something to think about. And also another thing is, you hear about the one all the time, and that could really trip people up with relationship OCD because it could be, well, what if they aren't the one? What if I love them so much, but what if there's someone better? Like, what if they're perfect in all these ways for me, but there's one small thing that kind of annoys me about them? Like, so what is that? Does that mean that I don't actually love them because I recognize that fault? Or what if there is someone better out there for me because of this? And OCD loves that what if, and it causes a lot of anxiety for people that have relationship OCD. So I just wanted to point that out because since relationships can be really uncertain, OCD, there is a chance that it could latch onto it. So, but just know that you can and will have a strong, beautiful, happy relationship despite having OCD and despite having relationship OCD. And now, need to talk about like the positive side of all of this is that there is effective treatment out there to help manage your symptoms. I did exposure response prevention through NOCD actually, and it helped me reframe and kind of change my relationship with anxiety and with my intrusive thoughts. Now, what that means is I used to want to push away intrusive thoughts, my obsessions. I hated the anxiety that came with it, so I needed to do something about it. ERP taught me to allow anxiety and live my life despite feeling terrible at the same time. And it sounds hard and counterintuitive, but that showed my brain that I actually don't need to be afraid of these intrusive thoughts because I'm sitting with the anxiety that comes along with them. And I'm showing my brain that it doesn't bother me. And that is showing OCD who's in charge. Now, I hope you liked this video. I love talking about relationships and OCD. And if you're ready or are interested in just learning about exposure response prevention, or if you feel like you're going through OCD or relationship OCD right now, you're not alone. I've been there, and there is hope for you, regardless of how long you've been stuck in this OCD cycle for, and no matter how severe you are. If you're interested in learning more about treatment or OCD, give our team a free 15-minute call. Go to nocd.com. Our team would love to chat with you and just explain more about what we provide here at NOCD. And always remember, again, I'm going to say it again because it's so true. You can have a beautiful and happy relationship despite having OCD and despite having relationship OCD.